Now we're going to create a variation of our object that is in the style of Roy Lichtenstein, who did the comic book style artwork. So the first thing I'm going to do, as I have done in the past, is make an exact copy of my original shoe. So I'm going to right click on that and I'm going to duplicate the layer. This is going to be my shoe, and I'm going to call it comic style. The next thing I want to do, I have to unlock it, is I need to decide what colors I want to use for my outline. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over and check my colors. I think right now I just want black and white, so I'm going to go check over here. I've got red and gray. A quick way to change this to black and white is there's just little tiny black and white squares. If I click on that, it resets them to black and white. Now I'm going to go up to filter and I'm going to go to the filter gallery, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. Okay, so some of my favorite things, there's a couple of under Sketch. If yours doesn't default to Sketch, then you're going to want to open Sketch, and you'll see a few different options here. I like Stamp a lot. This is a pretty comic book style look to it. There's also Photocopy, and if you reduce the detail and up the darkness, you can play around with that a little bit. Actually, lowering the darkness actually kind of gets rid of yeah, there we go. That's what I was looking for. So we up the detail and reduce the darkness actually, and then you get like the more outliney parts of it. So this is another thing you can do. I also I've tried Graphic Pen for this. That also has an interesting effect. But I think for the moment, from the purposes of making it kind of a comic book style, I'm gonna playing around with this a little bit more. Just want to see all my options. Okay, so I'm going to go with this particular version. So there you have it. I have sort of this comic book style thing. It has a little bit more detail than I want, so there's a few options here. One is I could play around with the brightness contrast of this. If I go up to Enhance and I do Adjust Lighting, Brightness Contrast, I can increase the contrast. Notice the change there. It's getting rid of some of those details, and I can also increase the brightness. And what that does is it starts looking a bit like Threshold, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. So that's pretty good for my starting point for my comic book style one. Now I'm going to do something, because one thing that Roy Lichtenstein did was he liked to put patterns in his artwork that looked like the old printing press style. So what I'm going to do is make another duplicate of my original shoe layer. You want to do this with a like one with color in it as opposed to one without color. So now I'm going to pick some different colors for I'm going to make what's called a halftone pattern. So I'm going to go in here and pick some different colors for my halftone pattern. I'm going to do red and something that contrasts the red, maybe like a blue, like that. Remember, there's primary colors a lot in pop art. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to go back up to Filter Gallery, and I'm going to click on, so see how it's using the colors I just picked for that? That's pretty cool. I'm going to click on the halftone pattern, and I'm going to make the size big here so we get the dots going on. That's what I'm talking about. You can play around with contrast. You can also play around with the type of halftone you have. You can get some pretty cool effects that way. I'm just going to go with the classic dot one. And the bigger the dots, the less detail you get. I'm going to just play around with contrast. Oh, I like that. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK. And as you know, what we have to do now is we need to blend. So I'm going to go to my shoe comic style, and I'm going to click on normal, and I'm going to try blending it with my halftone pattern. And so now I have this sort of Roy Lichtenstein style art.